Do you have the gift of gab and like talking about interesting topics? Are you often called opinionated by your friends and family? Then come to Anchor where you can be all of the above and get paid for it. Along with being one of the easiest systems to create contact with, Anchor supplies everything you need and can be used from your smartphone or computer. They even distribute your content for you so that you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Just download the Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Hello, bookworms. This is Anjanette Potter, also known as Adam's Rib, and this is my review for Valerie Nifora's book, I Asked the Wind. So you know that this review is part of WOW, Women on Writing's blog book tour to promote Miss Nifora's book. Anyway, the book is an anthology, and as you know, if you are a regular book reader, which most of us are, anthologies are a collection of written works. So these written works happen to be romantic poetry. The book has been published by Unapologetic Voice, 2019. So it's a relatively new book of hers. Two poems that stood out for me, and I'll read from them later, are Kiss Me Gently, which I really liked a lot, and I Asked the Wind, the title poem. So the theme for this book is all aspects of love. So she divides it in three parts. There's three parts to it. The first part is new love. And if you've ever experienced new love, and most of us have, if you haven't, you're missing out. So new love is when you don't want to come up. I always describe it as not being able to come up for air. So I have been telling the story of when I met my first child's father. My oldest son's father. When we were dating, we were around each other a lot. We were just, some people might attribute it to the fact that we were both born in the same month. We're both July. And we were just around each other a lot. So, when you're newly in a relationship and you first fall in love with somebody, or at least you're an intense like, you have a tendency to want to be around them all the time. And I always call that the period where you're not being able to come up for air. And it isn't so much a sexual thing. I remember watching this one show on OWN. The lady who helped create the show Girlfriends had this show on, and she talked about cocooning. So, the act of cocooning is you just are under each other all the time, and you are always wanting to be, you're almost practically inseparable, and you almost want to breathe each other's air. You're just around each other all the time. Their mere presence just, makes you feel safe, makes you feel comfortable. You just are around each other a lot and don't want to be separated from each other. So the second section deals with loss. I felt led to look up what the 7 stages of grief, and she, in her poems, actually accurately touch on each of those stages. So there's shock, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, and acceptance. So in many of the poems in here, she talks about the feelings of having your heart broken, the emptiness of the other person. And I always call, especially if it's an abrupt breakup, or, an abrupt loss, it's almost the feeling of feeling like you've been amputated. And I remember attending a church where they had just announced that the pastor and his wife were divorcing. And in my mind's eye, I have a tendency I visualize things. I'm a bit of a visionary, so in my mind's eye, I could see where I felt like he looked like an amputee. And I told somebody, I said, he looks like he's been amputated, like someone cut off his arm. And, he had both arms. He was fully functioning, but it's almost like someone severed off a very important part, and he just looked like he was, not feeling, trying to get along without that part. And so she also talks about the darkness of loss. I also talk about, I've described some losses or some situations that almost happened but didn't as feeling like you've been dropped on your head. You're still trying to figure the whole thing out. And so the last part is is about regret. Some of the poems seem like they're about regretting love. So like, why did I fall in the first place? And I have fall in quotes because, that whole thing of, well, why did I even give you the time of day? What made me fall? Was what we went through, was this a waste of time? Was this something, could I have had a V8? Could I have been doing something better with my time? Then, I sit over here, love this person. I love this person for all this time. I got emotionally invested, and now things haven't worked out. So the power that lost love has on the person, one of the poems talks about the grip. That, the person still has a grip on you. They're still inside your mind. They're still inside your head. And you almost feel like you're never going to get over the person. Like you're never, ever going to be done with the loss. So, and of course, then you wonder if they really, if things ended like this, did they ever really love you back? So it's a really good, and she talks about, being able to go to any of the 3 sections. I don't recommend that. I mean, this is worth reading the entire book. And when I was looking at, and ironically, I was looking at the poems and I was like, these are almost nice enough that if you were having a wedding or wanted to take one of these quote or pieces take a quote from some of these pieces and wanted to put them on and wanted to decorate like a t-shirt or a mug or glass or some wedding souvenirs with pieces of these poems. These poems are so nice that you could probably do that. And ironically, when I went to her website, which is going to be on this, which is on this post, she has what they call merch. She has merchandise on her site that you can order that has the poems on her merchandise. So I thought, wow, great minds think alike, because that was to me ironic that's what was on there, because that's what I was thinking. Like, these are nice enough that you could almost do like Hallmark or one of those other gift places where they put poems on, and they could almost be on greeting cards. They were just that nice. So the last part of it, is about healing and acceptance. I don't believe, I've always said, I don't believe, especially if the loss is through death, I don't believe you ever get over things. I think you heal, especially emotionally. You heal from trauma. You heal from things that, especially heartache, but you never ever get over it. It's not something especially if you lose a person through death, you can't get over somebody being gone that way. But you can heal and become less painful as you decide to. It can become less painful. You can also meditate on more pleasant memories of that person. And it becomes, I won't even say bearable, but you can be healed and restored from the experience of the loss. So, let me see here. I'm going to read the first poem that came out, that kind of stuck out to me that I really liked. It was called Kiss Me Gently. And the poem says, kiss me gently and ask me not to speak. Through the tenderness you'll find the answers that you seek. Mock me not bitterly, for words I will not say, and let each moment pass into a dawning day. Act not angrily and judge me not too stern, for in my heart you will find all for which you deeply yearn. Tell me tenderly that your love will be, so that I can untie the binds and let my soul free. So, to me, the person is basically, saying, deal gently with my love. Anything that you want, if you don't judge me too harshly, if you aren't too harsh with me, you'll find everything that you're looking for. And, once I'm secure with you, I'll, be able to be free with you. And I think that's what people don't understand, especially with women. We thrive on security, and so many men don't seem to get that. And they're like, why is she so crazy? Because you're bringing all this instability into her life and all this negativity. And women thrive off security. We need to feel secure. We need to know that everything is going to be okay before we can really surrender wholeheartedly to someone. Okay, and the next one is the title poem, and it's called I Ask the Wind. So it says, this is in the section, in section number 2, where the poems that deal with loss are. So she writes, I asked the wind his name again, and he would not reply. He danced around and touched my cheek and let out a gentle sigh. Oh, wind, do not be coy and laugh at my dismay. Appear, speak, and grab my hand. Let us both away. At this, the wind stopped his frolic. A branch did not move. The stillness quiet. I held my breath. He did not approve. So when I thought about the title, I Asked the Wind, I did a little bit of homework of my own because I was like, well, I wonder why the wind. And so when I, did my little, nice little Bing search or Google search to find metaphors for wind, because oftentimes when people talk about the elements, especially the wind, it's usually a metaphor. Well, one popular metaphor for the wind is the Holy Spirit. And I remember a story in the Bible of Elijah when he asked to see God's face. Now, most people recognize, that no one has ever looked on the face of the Lord and lived. And so he had example, like I think a mountain exploded and that God wasn't in that. And then there was this other big thing that happened and God wasn't in that. And so as he sat and was really, really still, a still small voice came to him. And God was in that. And usually he is in the still small voice. So when I look at this, I see someone who's, let me see here. Where where she asks the wind his name and the wind is not replying. And many times we ask God about certain situations and we don't get an answer. Sometimes sometimes the lack of an answer is an answer. Sometimes he just wants us to wait. We're very impatient. I mean, nowadays we have, we're so into fast food and drive up and drive through breakthroughs when all God is really trying to do is work something out in you through a situation. And so we have to be patient. In her case, like she said, the wind never answered her. In fact, when she insisted on an answer, the wind got still. So the lack, in other words, this situation is not your situation. The lack of stillness lets her know that the wind, and in this case, the wind could represent God and his lack of approval over this situation. So sometimes you have to think about that. Anyway, she has, and I'm gonna start doing this from now on some of my. I'm not doing it tonight, but if you go to her website, like I said, her link is going to be on my page. And so when you go to the link and you click on the link, you'll be able to go to her website. And on her website, she has the trailers for her book. I'm going to try and find the trailer for the next book that I am going to be participating in. And I'm going to be posting information on that over this weekend. So you will, see that one. That one is for March. And I'm going to go ahead and post that information along with the tour dates so that you'll know when that author will be on BookWorm. Anyway, like I said on, earlier, because it's now almost 4 o'clock in the morning, but I did eclectic weekends over the weekend, Friday night, like I always do. And I said on eclectic weekends, as once March comes, March is Women's History Month. So it's going to be 31 days of the 4 waves of feminism, of global feminism, so that you can see how the different waves affected women globally of all ethnicities. So this one is going to be more inclusive of different ethnicities, but there will still be, a lot of black women up in this one because I'm black. But like February was 29 days of black feminism, and I gave the one post that had the 4 waves. This time, I'm thinking about doing, each wave and discussing different notable women who made strides and what each of those, and go into more detail about what those different waves are about and what things got accomplished. So I'm going to be posting this. I look forward to you guys coming by the site and checking it out. I will have the rest of the tour dates listed on the site as well, so that you guys can go to the other blogs on this tour and check them out and, get more information on Miss Nifora. You guys have a blessed weekend, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye. Hello, you have reached the message line for Adam's Rib Media Ministry. If you would like to give me a shout out, recommend some topics for discussion, or give an opinion about some topics that I've already discussed, either here on my podcast or on my blogs, leave me a message and I will get right back to you. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.